Kurgulin. You know how rare Kurgulin is, right? The guy's name was Nicholas. Fox Tango 4 X-Ray United, if my memory serves me right. And I'm thinking to myself in the morning that there's no way I have a path via the short path to Kurgulin. And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen with Crusade. It'll be the same thing. It'll be a long path over Japan or whatever. So I had pointed my antenna northeast, and I was listening because he was making a comment. He had a schedule with one of his buddies in France, and he would be on 14140. 14140, I think it was. Well, that's below our band, right? There's nothing we can do. But then he made a comment. He goes, you know, when I go from 1440, we'll make the contact with my French friend, and then I'm going to go up to 143, I don't know, 340 or something like that. And so I had the radio all dialed in. I had the radio set. Everything was ready, and I can hear him on 14140. I go, oh man, I can hear him over the North Pole, right? So he tells his friend, he goes, okay, I'm going to go up to the other frequency. Well, I click it, I hit the recorder, and I go up, and there he is. He is on 14340. He's up between a couple of them old-timer nets that are just, you know, 10 over 9, but I can hear him. And I had everything pointed, I had everything, and I called, and I hear, you know, between these QRMers, I hear him come back with my call sign. He was running 50 watts, and he had an antenna he was carrying on a backpack, and he couldn't believe he could hear the United States. And when he got back, you know, he made all of 300, I think it was 380 contacts from Kurgulin, and I might have been the only guy from the United States. Cal, go ahead. Yeah, well, you know, a lot of guys on the East Coast need Macquarie Island, right? And there's another story. My neighbor, K0KE, we would get on 20 meters in the evenings here. He'd point out the VKZL, you call CQ, right? And you over and over and over. You worked every VK, you worked every ZL. And here I hear, he goes, Victor Kilo 0, Tango Hotel or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's weird, VK0. Where the hell's that at? Like, oh, that's Macquarie Island. He answered TCQ, and they get to talking, and, you know, there's people chomping at the bit to get on there and work Macquarie Island, right? And this guy's elusive, but he doesn't, he's a new operator, he's a young guy, he's working for the weather station or whatever. He doesn't like pileups, he doesn't want pileups, he doesn't know how to handle a pileup, he just wants to get on the ham radio and talk to somebody.
So I go up the band, Keith works him, and I go, hey, I'm just going to go up the band. I go up the band, and everybody's in that pile. They're all trying to get him after he cleared. And I go like 5 KC up, and I call CQDX out in the Pacific, and he come right back to my call.
That's how I worked ZS8 MI.
Oh, yeah, that was Pierre Tromp, I'll bet. ZS8 Mike. Boy, what a character he was. You know, he ended up, we could talk about it now. He ended up getting divorced, and the gal that he found down there on Marion Island that was one of the scientists, she got divorced too. Everybody got divorced when that ham radio D expedition was over. And you're away from home for a long time, you know. What's that saying? Yeah, well, what happens on Marion Island stays on Marion Island, right?
Are they all down in South America right now? I heard that the thing is already down there. Is that correct?
Well, they're 17 days out, Cal. They leave in 17 days. And, you know, we're from the old school, right? So when something like Beauvais, I need Beauvais. Beauvais will be 337 for me. I only need 4. So when something like that comes up, you end up erecting antennas, and you get your station right, you get everything right, so you can kind of increase your chances, right? So the day before yesterday, before this cold-ass snowstorm come through here in the cold, frigid temperatures, I was hanging a 30-meter vertical because I'm weak on 30. I just had a little 40-meter inverted L I was loading up. So I bought a 30-meter vertical. I'm just hoping what doesn't happen to Dom. You know, me and Dom are tight, and we're brothers. But I told him, I said, you know what, this 97% bullshit FT8 is crap. I said, you worked 5 stations on CW and 3,000 on single sideband, and the other 97,000 were FT8. And I get it. That's where the watering holes are, and you go up there and you call CQ for 15 minutes and nobody answers. And this is why I tried to say this FT8's destroying everything. Because nobody wants to play anymore where we're used to playing, and I'll be damned. I'm not going to do it. I would rather die with 339 than work to 340th on a FT8. That ain't even fair. Yeah, you know, I'd rather just, you know, count me at 339 and I'm out the door. I ain't going to do it. I do it the old-fashioned way. You actually got to work it. But I laughed because my buddy goes, hey, what's on 30 meters? The only thing I ever think on 30 meters is FT8. I go, I have faith in these guys, this group, and Ken and these guys, they're going to do FT8, but they're not going to let it run them like it did Dom. And they're going to, you know, 20 or 30% FT8, 20, 30% CW, 20, 30% sideband. I'm good with that. But I said, I get these guys mad at me because I said, you know, I sponsor a lot of these expeditions. You know, I'll send 500, I'll send 1,000, you know, company write-off or whatever. But I said, you guys FT8, you got to pay to play. You guys need to suck it up and start paying for that stuff if that's what they're going to do. So Dom goes, are you going to help me? I go, no, I ain't going to help you. You got to go somewhere else. Go to them FT8 guys and get the money this time. No, wait a minute. You're talking about Tango 6 or whatever. I know you've worked them before. You just, never got a card? Oh, doggone it. Yeah, you know, when we did those roundtables, kind of like today, I haven't logged anybody because, you know, we're so used to doing it, we just don't log them, but I'll log my DX. But I'm wondering, I'm trying to think of who that was. It might have been T6MO or was that one Army Sergeant or Lieutenant or, I'm trying to think, it might have been one of Freddie's buddies or something. Well, I know a couple of them have died. Man, I just got to think about that for a minute. But, you know, there's ways sometimes, even like Dan. Dan's the QSL manager for a lot of those. I don't know, Dan, you got any T6s?
T6JP. Would that be one of them, Cal? I can hardly hear you, Dan. Good evening, Dan. What? T6 what?
Juliet Papa. Look and see if you got a T6JP in the log, because Dan's the manager for that station, and maybe, you know, that's what I'm thinking. You go back and you Google some of these guys' old call signs, and the logs ended up with somebody that put them up on the computer or logbook of the world, and you might be able to, you know, retrieve something that's 20 years ago. Yeah, that Russian was over there, X-Ray Whiskey 3 Delta Tango or whatever. He was quite workable everywhere on CW. You know, yeah, I think what you just got to look back through some of them old logs. Did you convert everything to digital, or you still got old paper logs from way back?
Well, I used Wayne, and I tell you, the damn thing got corrupted, and if I find when I contacted it, and I don't know how to uncorrupt it. I got the file on my computer in a folder, but I don't know how to uncorrupt the damn thing. Here's another one.
Yeah, who you got, Dan?
E16. I'm not his manager, but sure, he works here. Everybody in the world works E16.
Yeah, that's right. He was on T6T. That's another one. Cal Tango 6 Tango. He was on here, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. He was quite common everywhere.
I don't have to confirm
Well, they take a little bit to do them, and I think once I got around 300, I was like, okay, I'll tell you a quick story. You remember, you might, well, maybe not. This was in mid-90s. We had, Tony had a friend, Jackie, and Hero. Hero-san was in Japan. I'm trying to remember JH8 or JA8 something. Anyway, I don't know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and Jackie would come on. The bands in the 90s were good. Jackie would come on 240, and he was on, I want to say, Crozet, Fox Tango 4, Fox Tango 5. I'll think of it when I'm not thinking of it. But anyway, the phone is ringing at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's Hero-san, I call him, and Hito-san. And I go, what's going on? He goes, oh, Mr. Wayne-san, I know it's early your time, but the Jackie, he is on. He is looking for you. And I'm like, okay. So I call Tony, and Tony gets on. It's what? It's 4 in the morning, so it's what, 6 in the morning his time. And we get up on 240. We kind of had to run some people off. And Jackie comes on. Jackie was on a weather station, and he did not do CW. He never made a CW. He made one. He didn't do CW. And this was hilarious because one of my friends, Charlie, needed him for the last one. Not Tromelin. It might have been Crozet. But anyway, I'd have to go back and look through my cards. And Charlie needed on CW for all of them, and he just didn't have it. And, you know, Jackie's over there. He's running the weather station. He's got a really, really deep French accent. He does speak English. So they tell him. And he tells them, I know this CW. And he goes, well, just hold some wires together and click the wires. So Charlie comes on, and he says his call perfectly, and Jackie's over there. You can tell he's holding these wires together, and he's clicking the wires. And then he gets on, and then he gets on sideband. He goes, Charlie, will that work for you with that French accent? And he goes, absolutely, positively. I copied a 599. And so anyway, Jackie then signs his call, and it was the same thing. It's like when he signed his call, the frequency just explodes. We lose control of it. Guido calls me on the phone, and he goes, I could listen to the whole thing in Japan. He goes, actually, his wires were pretty good. K0DS N0UN. Yeah. You know, I got Godzilla back here. Yeah, I do. Listen, last year I get a call from the guy I sold it to in 2010. He's out of radio now. He calls me up and he goes, hey, I'm getting rid of Godzilla. Oh, no. I know what it was. He told a mutual friend of mine he was getting out. He was getting out of Grand Junction, Colorado, and he's coming down off the mountain. And you already probably know who it is when I said that, but he's coming down off the mountain. His health is getting a little bit shaky, and his wife wants to be closer to the kids. And it's a real bitch getting up that mountain in the wintertime. And he goes, he was going to, he's moving. I pick up the phone. I go, hey, Jerry, what are you going to do? And he goes, well, I wanted to talk to you. I says, what are you going to do with it? And he says, well, I've had it now 10 years. I've said all kinds of, I just love that thing. I've redid it. Me and Bruce Gary, W6BWG, we redid the capacitor bank, and we redid this, that, and the other thing. And he said, we even changed the tube. We went from a 4x10 to a 3x10, and we cleaned it up. It's really linear. Man, that thing is, it just hums along. Lumpy, you don't understand. I got it in good shape from you. It's in way better shape than now. I said, what are you going to do with it? He said, well, I wanted to call you to let you know that if you want it, bring me $1,000 and load it up and get it out of here. So I bought it back. Yeah, listen, and not only you talk about a friend. He bought it for way more than that, and he sells it back to me for $1,000. I loaded the trailer. I was there the next day. Listen what happens. And I get out there. I go, Jerry, what are you doing? We sit down. We talk for a while. He tells me what's going on. I took down 7 of my towers. All 7 towers are on the ground. Ken helped me with that, and he bought those towers, and I'm glad you're doing it. And he said, I'm going to sell the 9500. I'm going to sell the FTDX 5000. I'm going to sell all these things, do all these things. And he,
No?
She wanted to know if I'm talking to myself because I'm the only one talking. Gee whiz. With a wife, thank you so much.
Are you talking?
I know you do. So I got the headset on.
I know,
Okay. Thank you. So, anyway, I bought the 9500, I bought the 5000, I bought Godzilla. He had this big old transformer. He goes, man, I can't even lift that thing. Will you take it with you? I go, yep. And he goes, here. And I got a brand new tube. I got a 4CX10000 tube in here. He said, just take it with you. You could sell it and offset it. I sold that tube and amplifier for double what I paid for Godzilla. He paid me to come take it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, brother. I tell you, that's a beautiful thing. And then I miss the series. Before I was in North California, I know he passed my I tell you, that broke my heart.
Big woolly gorilla. Were you really? Oh. Yep, that's right. He built everything. You know, a little quick story with Bruce. I went out to Visalia. You know, when I sold my motorcycle rental company, I had a store in Marina Del Rey, and I told the guys when we all sold it and everything, I said, here, but there's one thing, that no matter the rest of my life, if you're in business after I sell this, that when I come to town, I got a bike for free. I got a comp. We used to just call them company comps. You know, football players and Hollywood guys would come rent motorcycles. And if Brad Pitt needed a bike, we'd just comp them, you know, and get a couple pictures with them or something. So I said, I'll get a comp. And they agreed. So here, fast forward a few years later, all these guys are going to Visalia. I go, you know, I should just run out to L.A., grab a bike, and ride up to Visalia. So I do. I get it all set up. When I ride, I grab an electric glide, and I don't know, it was only a couple hundred miles, so I ride up north, and I parked the bike out in front of the Marriott in Bruce, so it was W6 BWG, and Ted, you know, old K6 TED, and it was DDD, you know, with his pair of 3x3s, Tom, and it was LG, W6 LG, and myself, and I don't know, there was 5 or 6 of us, and I was still smoking cigarettes back then. And we were all smoking cigarettes, and Tom brought a bottle of hooch, moonshine. And we're nipping on this moonshine, and we are getting hammered, man. And you got all these DXers at the Visalia convention smoking cigarettes out there on the patio. I think Jim took some pictures, LG, because he didn't drink. Jim took some pictures of me and Big Wooly Gorilla and Tom Koska, you know, DDD, and Ted, and some of the other guys just getting annihilated on moonshine.
That had to be a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
It was a good time. 1,500 of them. 1,500 people at that Christmas party. It was awesome. They got this thing out here in Denver called the Gaylord Center. It's this big multi-billion-dollar, I don't know, there's like 7 restaurants in there, and it's a big motel, $500 a night. And it was just catered, and the food was great, and the people were great. It was a good time. So yeah, Cal, Godzilla's sitting over here. When I got it back, I put it on the air, and I had it on the air about a month. And it's just as better than new. Everything works. The TR switch, I rebuilt a bunch of little things on it and some fittings, and I did some cosmetic things. I changed. It needed some door magnets. The Variac needed to be cleared up. Everything, but it fits. And then about 2 weeks from now, when those boats sail for Beauvais, I'm wheeling it over, Cal.
Did you upgrade your service to 100? Okay. So, you know, I'm running with about 70 watt drive in, and I tell you, I rate all kind of hell. Go ahead.
K1CAL and 4GNR N0UN. It's just making me smile, but it's I'm glad I got on the radio today. I between Freddie and Rich Guy and you and Dan, it's what it's all about. I'm getting excited for Beauvais like everybody else.
Did you upgrade your service to 300 amp service at your house for the Beast?
You know, when I bought this place in 2012, the first thing I did is run 6.3 over from the box.
That's what I figured.
You know, 50 foot of 6.3 back then. For some reason, I remember this. It was $250. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, $50 the bill right now. I've been in the business for 45 years, you know. I know it, like I said, 6.3 right now. It's working like $6 a foot.
Yeah, it's It's kind of crazy. Yeah, when I bought this house, before we even moved in the first piece of furniture, I spent 30 days. I gutted the kitchen. I knocked holes in walls. We redid tile floors. We did all kinds of stuff. But one of the first things I did was I brought a box. I brought a 100-amp box in here and dropped it right on the wall where I figured I'd have my shed. You know what, Cal? If we were FT8ers, you know how this conversation would be. I wouldn't even be really having a conversation with you. I'd just be on Skype or something on my computer, and I would be telling you, hey, I put up an indoor dipole in my attic, and I can't wait to run 30 watts and work Beauvais. Yeah, I did, you know, when it came out in 2017, I don't know, it was a VK9 or Mellish Reef or something. And I remember hooking up my sound cards and hooking up all these cables and going back and forth and reading a couple of directions. And then all of a sudden, I set up the macros or whatever it was, you know, and all of a sudden my radio started transmitting. I'm like, what the hell? I'm over here trying to shut it off. I'm pushing the buttons. I'm like, damn it. My radio's transmitting. I hear these tones, and I'm like, and then like 30 seconds later, it stops. And I'm like, well, that was kind of weird. And it goes like again. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And I'm trying to undo it, you know. I'm trying to turn my power down so I don't burn something up. And I didn't think about it. And then I happened to be on the frequency that VK9 was on. And I pushed the transmit button or something. And the next thing I know, I checked the log, and I was in the log. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And while I was in that guy's log, not, you know, I realized, I think I just worked them. I think I did. I don't know. And then my radio started transmitting again. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I shut the radio off. I reached over and I shut the radio off before something burned up. I'm like, what the hell was that about? And then I get an email from a guy. He goes, hey, I just didn't get my IR73 from you. I'm like, what are you talking about? I sent him back his email. It was an AB8 something. He goes, I heard you calling, so I called you back, and we made a connection, but it didn't finish it. I'm like, well, yeah, I shut my radio off. He goes, well, but you're still in my logbook. So I made 2 FT8 contacts. One was, I think it was VK9 something, maybe it was Coco's Keeling, whatever it was. And the other one was some guy that called me because I called him. See you, Dan. Yeah, you know, it's what we do. We tried it. We don't like it. I don't consider it ham radio. It's like that gal, Melanie, over there at the K0DS. She's on Hamsphere, and I'm on my real radio. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah, he's going to be there 3 months with 15 days of activation, and I hope it ain't like my buddy Dom where he just runs it all FTA. That'll be that's one of them deals, you know. We just end up getting old and grumpy, and they wonder why. See you later, Cal. I'm going to jump out of here. I'm still laughing because you wouldn't think she would come downstairs just to tell me that she thought I was talking to myself because you haven't shut up since you started. 30 years of marriage. I love her. K1CAL, N0UN.
Break.
All right. See you later, Cal. Great talking. Great getting caught up. See you, buddy.
Break. Yeah, this is Bill, WA6AS City, Woodlake, California. Thank you, guys. Thank you for restoring my faith in amateur radio. Happy holidays. Yeah, I've been doing this for 55 years, so I'm with you. I did the same thing. I come back into it. I made number 1 in 2002 when I stayed there ever since. Thank you very much for restoring my faith. W2NQ says ditto.
Hey, John, did I just hear you? Oh, okay. I've been talking to the guys earlier. You're doing some paperwork and kind of listening to the last 20 minutes of it anyway. So, yeah, I came back to you the other day. I wrapped it with the DX station I was talking to and gave you a buzz, but you had ducked out on me. Okay, well then why didn't you answer me when I called you? Well, I was calling you. I talked to him for about another 5 minutes. I heard that comment, and so then
One would be bassy, the other one would be a tenor, and the other one would be, and here come a woman in there, and
yeah, but what was the call? W5JMW. Oh, yeah. Coming in fine. We're up here close to Dallas, about 60 miles east of Dallas. AJ5Y, W5JMW, just waiting around, getting everything geared up for the Santa Net that'll be on here in a little bit. Well, you mean they don't want the Mustang?
I understand Santa's already purchased one and sent the bill to your bank. Yeah, I understand fully. It is fun while it lasts, but it's also a lot of relief when they grow up. All righty, well, you're doing fine. You're getting out fine, no problems. I'll let you go. Get back over here on the computers and everything. AJ5Y, name here is John, W5JMW. Okay, very good. Yeah, I kicked in a little bit to help there. And I know the feeling. That's when I retired. I had a big tower, and when I retired, or actually got a little older, the wife said, "No, you're not climbing it anymore." So everything I've got, I traded ease for height. I've only got a couple of, 60-footers, but they're crank up, fold over, so there's still a problem. There's still maintenance, but not quite as much as having to climb. We'll see you later. KJ5Y, W5JMW.